Yo, what's going on, Neon Maniacs? The Neon Lords here with Hunter Jackson, the man that doesn't need an introduction, but I obviously will let him explain who he is to everybody. Hunter, if you want to let him know.
Uh, yeah, I'm Hunter Jackson. I'm the original creator of the characters and concepts and costumes behind the band Guar.
Beautiful.
I'm like one of the original dudes. They're getting ready to release their 40th anniversary of the first album, and uh, only one of the original members is still there, and he was gone for 15 years of that 40.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
maybe
crazy.
20 years of that 40.
Yeah. You should. So this is for Deities and Demi-Bros live on Backer Kit now. We'll put the link in the chat, and then Hunter is doing a lot of the art for it. I would say we got a couple pieces going, but we'll talk about that. And then so tell me, Hunter, like, how did you get into like gaming? Because you are a gamer too. You're not just like an artist and a wrestler and like a Renaissance man, if you will, but you are into gaming as well. So how did you get into gaming?
Yeah, I was back in the early 80s before I started doing Guar. Um, uh, I started getting, there was a store that had game stuff. And I had found this game at this store called Melee, which was put out by Steve Jackson, who's the same guy that did Munchkin. Munchkin is his most famous game.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a real simple game that was a medieval style game that you would play on a piece of hex paper with miniatures. And the way the game worked, they had rules that whatever miniature you had, you just looked at it and said, okay, this guy has a sword and a shield and a helmet or whatever. So you apply those stats to the guy, and it's so that you can do simple combats and stuff with your miniatures. And so me and my friends really got into doing that. And next thing you know, this company called Citadel comes out, which is putting out these really awesome ones. And Raw Partha was putting out miniatures. And so next thing, other games, Grenadier and stuff started to come out. And so I got a guy with a machine gun. It was like a future soldier with a helmet and a machine gun. And I was like, wow, let's make rules for this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I had these really cool little robots that, were real simple. And I was like, let's make up rules for these guys. So next thing you know, we had made up tons of rules and changed this game that was a medieval game into a super science fiction game. And when Games Workshop came out and started putting out their miniatures too, I didn't really like their Warhammer because it was too complicated. It was too hard, and you needed like $500 worth of miniatures to play the game. So, we just made up our own rules. And once I started doing Guar and stuff, I turned all those guys onto it. And we would have these crazy games. I started making vehicles and stuff, and we made up rules for them too. And we had these big arena fights that would be on a board on a table that would be like, 4 feet by 6 feet. And it would be like a round track. And you start with your minis on foot, and they go through a pothole or a manhole that's in the board, and they pop out through a garage riding the vehicles. And we used to play this game and roll dice and fight each other and get all screwed up. Like 12 hours, these games would last 12 hours and stuff like that. And nobody would want to leave, man. We would be so into it and stuff. And so once we started doing Guar, by then Games Workshop had really started to take over the market. They became a big fish that swallowed the Citadel Miniature Company. And in our early days, our first record label was Master Records, which was run by this guy Buster Blood Vessel, who was a Brit.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went over to England to do promotional stuff. And while I was there, I was like, man, we need to do a raid on the Games Workshop, headquarters, which was in Nottingham, England.
Yeah.
So it was me and Sexecutioner and Slimenstra and Odorous. The four of us went over to England to do a promo for Guar, and we hit the Games Workshop place, and they were all in costume. I was in plain clothes for that episode because I wanted to be the plain clothes, business guy.
Yeah.
And Sexecutioner was there. They took us into the place. They took us into this back room that was where all this, like, it was like a fog of hashish smoke, and all these guys in biker jackets with like huge black hair were like all painting these little cartoony goblins and stuff. And they were really into us. They were gonna put us as a Blood Bowl team, as the Chaos Blood Bowl team, but I really couldn't get the musicians into it. They wanted part of the deal was they really wanted War to write music and stuff, and I really was having a hard time getting the musicians behind the idea. So they ended up and I had made a customized Blood Bowl team that was Beastmen, where I'd taken the Beastmen heads and put them on all the different characters and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they had a bunch of Minotaurs and stuff, and it was called the Goat Skins. And I showed them that team, and I had done a bunch of drawings that were inspired by our games. And when Games Workshop came out with the next edition of Blood Bowl, boom, there was some of my art. It had been given to other artists and they had changed it. But wow, that was done based on my sketches. Wow. And they gave me tons of, when we were there, they gave me stacks of free stuff, so, and I let them go and Xerox pictures out of my sketchbook. So I didn't have any problem with them, using my work. I thought it was really cool. And they actually, the first Chaos Blood Bowl team actually had a character in it that has a steel trap face like Ballsack.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and they were all Beastmen too. They had the goat skin Beastmen and stuff. So I've been a game geek for a super long time, and so I even worked for a game company when we first developed the Guar miniature game.
Yeah. With Demon Blade doing Rumble in Antarctica. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it was super fun because because I was working for, this is came out during the period when I was sort of splitting away from Guar and I moved to Philadelphia, and I actually started working because of the work I did on the Guar game. They actually hired me, and I moved to Philadelphia to work for their company. But the Guar game was really fun because I helped them design the characters, and I was like, okay, this character should have these powers and abilities, and this Odorous should be able to do this, that, and the other thing, like that. And so the game came out. I was really happy with it, and when we were touring, we set up a bunch of appearances at Game Geek stores, and Casey Orr, who was playing Beefcake at the time, and actually he has a sideline where he paints miniatures, like whole armies of miniatures, mm-hmm. And he's really good at it too. But Casey was always really fun to play games with, and he and I would go to the different Game Geek stores, the local Game Geek store, as we traveled around, and actually play the game against each other.
Awesome.
And it was super fun. And my team was like Techno Destructo, Sexecutioner, and Slimenstra, and Beefcake had Beefcake, Odorous, Ballsack, like that. And it was a fun game. You have a lot of slave characters, and the idea of the game is the slaves sort of help you hold down the badass guys so that you can give them a good shot and actually hurt them. And it was really funny because I went out and played this game in all these places. And when I came back after the tour was over and played with my boss of the company, I beat him. And he was like, oh my God, you can't play like that, And so I guess I had been teaching everybody the wrong way to play,
Yeah, whatever.
The whole time.
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that as long as you're having fun, right? A couple
Yeah, it
minutes
was
here or
super
there.
fun. I liked the game. I had a good time playing it.
Yeah, I have the book, but I mean the minis are like like insanely hard to get, especially like them old pewter ones. Like they're crazy expensive.
I have a bunch, but I want to paint them and try to sell them painted or something.
Oh yeah, I mean if you sold them and you painted them, you could make like tons of money off them for sure. So in the chat, oh, so on the Discord earlier, they were like some people that couldn't make it had a question for you. It was they wanted to know what your inspirations, like early day inspirations, were.
Well, the movie Road Warrior was like really blew my mind a lot. And the funny thing about it was that I saw pictures of it in this magazine called Premiere, which was coming out in the early 80s. It was put out by Jim Steranko, who people have probably heard of. And it was an awesome magazine. It always previewed these crazy movies. And I was like, wow, I can't wait till that movie comes out. And they had a behind the scenes story about the movie Road Warrior,
Mm,
uh, like months and months and months before it actually premiered and came out. And then when it came out, in my hometown, it came out in a really sort of obscure theater and was only there for a week because I went and saw it. It blew my mind. And I went and told my friends, oh my God, you have to go see this movie with me. And it was already gone. And next thing you know, all of my friends contact me out of the blue and goes, "Oh my God, Hunter, I just saw this movie at the midnight movie. It was the coolest movie I ever saw. It was called Road Warrior." And I was like, "What? That movie?" You know?
yeah.
And so when a lot of the original inspiration of Guar was that I hated Star Wars. I really did, man. When I saw Star Wars the first time, when it first came out in the theater in like 1976, I was a senior in high school. And when I came out of that movie, I was white knuckle pissed off, man. I was so mad because I felt like Star Wars was just a big ripoff of Jack Kirby.
Mm,
That most of the cool concepts in the movie Star Wars were swiped straight out of the comic book New Gods. And Darth Vader was just Doctor Doom spray painted black.
yeah.
And then on top of it all, it had a disco soundtrack, you know? And even though the soundtrack won, like, ooh, it won an Academy Award, it was disco, man. It like made me puke. And I wanted to, my mission, and when I opened up my studio in the first place, was I wanted to make the antithesis of war. I wanted to make the ultimate science fiction movie to show people what a piece of mamby-pamby crap Star Wars was. That was my mission when I first started doing Guar. And it just turns out that it's a lot cheaper and easier to put on a live performance at a rock and roll show than it is to produce a 90-minute full-length feature. So Guar became a rock and roll band instead of a movie. And I continued to put out videos. So for me, uh, as far as me being able to make movies and stuff like that, Guar was close enough. Guar was close enough. But then as years went by, uh, there was so much like inner conflict within Guar and inner personalities and egos clashing with each other. That as time went on, and I knocked heads with Brocky more and more and more. You know, he wanted somebody that would kiss his ass and do what he would want. And so he kept recruiting people to replace me. You know, and stuff like that. And even though I'm proud of all the work that I managed to, get done with Guar, I had to leave in the end because I was just so frustrated. They didn't like even now they don't want me to draw the comics. They don't want me to make movies. So if I can't do those things, why bother? Why should I be in the band?
Right. Yeah. So then the original movie was Scumdogs of the Universe.
Yeah, that was the working title for it.
What was the plot? Like, what was the basic plot of it? I don't think it's ever out there. It might be somewhere. I don't.
Well, it's sort of like it's a lot like a lot of it is similar to the Gwar story. For one, Gwar was marooned on Earth. They're the they're like clone super soldiers that were created, and because they wouldn't do what their creator told them, they got marooned on the shittiest, most out of the way planet that they could possibly find, which was Earth. And this was millions of years ago before the humanity. And during the time that they were stuck on Earth, they did things like ate all the dinosaurs. And then when Slamenstra wouldn't have sex with them, they had sex with apes and created the human race.
Right.
Uh, um, Stuff like that. And then they had sex with other animals and created all the creatures from Norse or Greek mythology, like centaurs and minotaurs and stuff like that. And
Awesome.
yeah, so that part of the story is the same, but the difference was Techno Destructo comes down to Earth. He finds out that one of the members is a rock and roll star now, and he comes in and to recruit that member, and has to fight the band that he's joined. But ultimately, they go in. That doesn't really take up that much time, and ultimately, most of the story is their adventures after they leave Earth into outer space. But oh my God, this guy keeps calling me at the worst possible times. I can't talk to you right now, dude. Okay, so where was I?
Guar leaving the planet,
Oh
Adventures in
yeah.
Space.
So in the movie that I was working on, the movie that's like the first quarter of the movie, and the last two thirds or three quarters of the movie is like Guar's adventures in outer space, which was the really juicy, really cool part of the story. But once I hooked up with Brocky and all, I realized that oh my God, it just turned into a big Gilligan's Island story instead, where Guar's stuck on Earth and they can't get off of Earth because Odorous wanted to keep being a rock star and
Right.
stuff.
That, yeah.
Uh,
Uh, yeah.
I mean, here he goes again. Let me talk to this guy.
Yeah. So if you have any
Dude,
questions,
I hate to
shoot
tell you, but I'm doing an online interview right now, and it's
shoot
really important. I can't
shoot the
talk to
questions in the
you. I'll
chat.
call you as soon as I'm done. Bye bye.
Is that me? Oh wait, I deleted my. Or I muted
Okay.
myself. All right, back. Yeah, Guarfan 37 said, "Well, you get crack on Earth, so of course they want to stay, right?"
Yeah, true.
So
And see,
someone,
that's another area. That's another area where Dave and I really clashed, is because I felt like, oh man, it's cool for us to come on stage and do all these drugs and do all this crazy stuff, have the characters shooting up and smoking billows of pot out of a smoking bong. But we need to communicate to our audience the consequences of that behavior. And
right?
that's where Techno Destructo, his main MO is, oh, I'll attack Guar when they're too fucked up to fight back.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
So it turned into a lot of it is a big morality play and with a lot of hidden inner meanings and stuff. But from where I'm concerned, Guar is like a don't do drugs because this is what will happen to you
Yeah.
kind of
Like
story.
a PSA, a little bit, if you will.
Yeah. And if you ask me, when people tell me about Brocky and stuff, it's sort of like his story came to its natural ending.
Right. Yeah.
That's how it's going to go. If that's the path you walk, that's the way it's going to turn out. And if you bring like super crazy hard drugs into your life, you're not going to have a happy ending.
Right.
And I'm lucky enough that in my lifetime, like for instance, my uncle just passed away, and one of the most significant things that happened in my lifetime, he always had problems with alcohol, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one time, I was my mom and I were riding around, and he had been to the hospital, and she was really worried about him, and we came by to check on him, and he was like super drunk.
Mm.
He like put his arm around me and said, "Oh, this is when I was like 13, 14 years old." And he goes, "Oh, you're a man now. Let me take." He wanted he took me down into the basement and wanted to like tell me about the facts of life now that I'm a man. And my mom was like all worried about it, but I was like, it'll be okay. And then he rambled incoherently for a while and we came back. My mom was like, "Oh, I'm so embarrassed you saw that, you know. But to me, I was like, well, how did that happen? Oh, he partied when he was in college and it just escalated from there until that here he is now, you
Yeah.
know. That was a really valuable lesson to me.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. Yeah, you got to see it firsthand, so you knew.
And I've seen plenty of other people screw their lives up with drugs enough that I don't need to do it myself.
Oh, yeah, I can only imagine. So, in the chat, there's a lot of a few questions. So, the Wasted Wasteland Warrior asked if there's a copy of the campaign that Dave ran for Guar on the bus that's mentioned in the documentary because he ran some D&D, I guess. I don't know. I've never seen it, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah, Dave was a big D&D fan. He was also a big Squad Leader fan. He used to really love the game Squad Leader. And but he was a big D&D fan. And he also played the science fiction D&D game. I think it was called New Frontiers or something like that.
Star Frontiers.
Yeah, Star Frontiers.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he played that, and I participated with him a little bit. But me personally, I hate RPGs. I really don't like them, and maybe playing with Dave is one of the reasons.
Well, we're gonna find out when you play Neon Lords with me.
But everybody, Dave was a huge fan, and the the campaign that I played on, I was playing a dwarf, and one of the other dudes was playing a dwarf. I was putting together, and we were stuck on a pirate ship or something. And I missed a few episodes of the thing, and when I came back, my dwarf brother had eaten me. We had been in prison uh, together so long that my dwarf brother had eaten me in order to survive. But I really don't like playing RPGs, and I'll do even though I'm working on this one, it's really gonna take something to actually get me to play it. But that doesn't mean that I don't back it and like encourage other people to be into it
Right.
100%. It's just me personally, I don't like RPGs. I like games where people are killing each other, and
Oh, I mean, yeah. Once
I
you
don't
play,
like the fluff. I don't like the
no,
fluff.
there's no fluff.
Games
So,
Workshop, they have too much fluff. I
oh,
just want,
there's no
you know,
Neon Lords. There's no fluff. It's kick in the door, blast the muties, loot their bodies, and move on. So I think you'll really like it. I know. So all right. So campaign book, and then someone wants to know how you came into working on this. I can answer that easily. So, I tried to get RP like a Guar PG, a Guar role playing game together, and the management kind of like stalled me out. So I gave up on this. Is the TLDR of it all. And then so management was like, well, I don't know, blah blah blah. So I was like, all right, whatever. So I talked my way onto the Guar Pod with Kevin Von Esper, like a Guar related podcast. I bullshitted my way onto that. And then that opened up a lot of doors actually, because then that's how Saul and Byron, Humongous Arungus in the chat, he um, got a hold of me about it too. And then so Saul and I, we did the minis for Neon Lords, and then we were working on a standalone Neon Lords board game that we wanted Matt McGuire to do the art for, and he's on the project Roller Brawl, as a lot of people probably know about it now. And then Matt asked if Hunter could come on board to help him with some of the art, and obviously we're not going to say no to that. And then me and Hunter kind of got together that way, and then I asked him to jump on the Neon Lords, and he said yes. So here he is. That's the long story of that. And let's see. So that's how we linked up. And then someone asked Techno, who is the one monster villain you'd love to fight one more time?
well, Sexecutioner is my favorite adversary, and I was really happy to fight with him on the reunion tour. And who knows, maybe maybe I'll be able to go out with them again. There's rumors that something like that may happen,
Yeah,
but
I mean, I don't see it not happening, right?
yeah, I don't care who I'm fighting. I like fighting everybody. In fact, I even like it when I'm getting beat up by Slamenstra and stuff like that.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's see. Favorite skit in Skullhead Face? Rip and Destroy wants to know.
Um, Meat Grinder Sports Drink. Isn't
Nice.
that in Skullhead Face?
I believe it is. Yes, it's yeah. It's definitely in Skullhead Face. It's like man, they all kind of mix together. I was just watching Phallus the other day, and it's like it's so awesome. Like the Antarctica like set design is really cool in that. Like you did a lot of that though, right? Like the set work on
Yeah,
those.
I did that. I carved all that stuff out of
Crazy.
styrofoam.
It's phenomenal. So they said, let's see, favorite skit we got. Let's do a raffle to play a one shot with Hunter. Like you're like once you go to so the big thing is Hunter's coming to Game Hole Con with us, and he's gonna end up playing a lot of games that he's inadvertently gonna get stuck in because we're his ride back to the hotel. So he's got to play to play to ride. No, I think you'll
Oh,
be fine once you realize like how there's like it's a world of difference between like old school D&D. Like it's a lot more action, a lot more shooting and stabbing people. I think it'd be all right. And then so Kablooey said, "Forgive my ignorance. Hunter is the artist, right? I'm a little late to the game here. Yeah. So Hunter has so far done the chaos, the twin rat god art for Spine Tingler and Spine Grinder. I posted the sketch around for people to see in the if you back the thing, it's in one of the updates. Back the Deities and Demi-Bros that's going on now. And so with some more art to go, we sent over some stuff, and then he's going to be working on some art for Roller Brawl as well. Man, it's all coming in now. So one shots, yeah. So play the okay. Robot face. Is there any open slots to play Neon Lords at Game Hall? I still need to buy a ticket. So here's the kind of good and bad of Game Hall. I didn't post like so last year I ran games every single night. I worked the booth, ran games. I didn't put any games on the books. So I'm going to be playing a lot of off the book games at Game Hall, and we're also demoing Roller Brawl at Game Hall. So you get to play with me, Saul, and Hunter some Roller Brawl while you're there. So you get to play. He's gonna mop the floor with everybody. So, but yeah, so that's what we kind of got going on. There's a lot of art to be had. Hunter's digesting all the Neon Lords lore, and
yeah, I've got the rollerball uh, test game set up on my table right now.
oh yeah, it's right behind him if you can see
Right
it.
there.
So like that's a sneak peek into Roller Brawl, which is like I mean I'm really excited for Roller Brawl. I know like we get into meetings every week about it, and sometimes it
I'll tell
gets
you one thing about that is like when I saw the movie Rollerball, the original James Caan movie.
yeah.
Oh man, I loved it so much. And as soon as it came out on VHS, I made a special version of it that was just the games,
Mm-hmm.
not all the John Huston or what was that guy, actor's name, that old man actor, that guy, none of that guy's parts, you know, just the games, just the games. And I watched that video over and over and over again. And later on, I like because of the game Rollerball, I taught myself how to roller skate and would roller skate around at night and get my friends to pull. I would hold on to the door of their car and get them to pull me around and stuff
That's
and all
awesome.
that. And go. There were three parking decks in downtown Richmond where me and a bunch of other guys would. You would start at the top of one parking deck and you could go zoom, 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 shoot out, get into another parking deck, zoom, 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 go down that, shoot out and go down a third parking deck. Zoom, zoom, zoom. It was amazing, man. It was kind of dangerous
Sounds it.
switching from parking deck to parking deck. But if you do it in the middle of the night, Oh man, we had a really fun time doing it. I always wanted to make a movie like that, that would be like a techno destructo on roller skates fighting other people on roller skates, but, it never really materialized, a lot like a lot of other cool gore ideas that never really happened too.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm obsessed with roller skating and doing a game. I've been wanting to do a game, a fast-paced game where people are killing each other over a ball for a long time.
So, what's your general consensus of Roller Brawl thus far?
Um, it has work that needs to be done, but I think it has a lot of potential to be really cool. Saul's minis from Matt's artwork are dynamite. They're really incredibly good. So, I mean, it's one of those games that me personally, even if I didn't like the rule system, I would probably buy it anyway just because the minis are so damn cool.
Yeah, very cool. I kind of like
But
the
I'm
rules,
hoping
but you know,
my goal in working on this project is try to make it as fun and easy as possible and something that I would want to play.
right? Yeah, I mean that's why I think it's instrumental that you get a voice in it because you play games too, right? So like what's hot and what's not, especially when it comes to skirmish. I mean, we talked about Necromunda too, like what's good, skirmish tabletop board gaming, and
Yeah, we played Necromunda a lot with all the Gwar dudes too.
it's awesome. It's incredible.
I had a Necromunda City on like a 4x6 table in my apartment, and we would come over there and duke it out with each other all the time. We used to play the orc one on vehicles all the time too, but we
Oh
changed
yeah,
it. We were just going in a straight line, and we would take the track up and put it at the back so that you were continuously going forward, and you keep going forward. It was
Gorka
fun.
Morka.
Yeah, Gorka Morka. That one was really fun too.
Yeah, that one's classic. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, so it's like you definitely have a good stake in like rule making. So that's always why I always like to get your 2 cents on the rules. And then, you ever play like standard 40K?
I have I like Kill Team better, and I like the one I really like from Games Workshop is the Underworlds. All the Underworlds
Oh,
games.
Shadespire and all
Yeah,
them.
Shadespire was the first one,
Yeah,
and then Beast Lair, and they put out a new one every year.
like Gore Chosen,
Yeah, and
Night Haunt.
somehow each year I'm like a little bit less into it
Yeah.
somehow, and I played in the tourneys. I went to the Game Geeks shops and played in some tourneys of that game that were really fun. Always got my ass kicked because the funny thing about the tournaments is the guy that would win the tournament usually is the shop owner from another city
Hmm.
who's come to this shop because he can't. It's not legal for him to win the tournament in his own shop.
Oh, that makes sense. And then he
So
probably plays all day.
yeah. So that's the person that wins the tourney. But it's cool. I had a fun time playing and I learned a hell of a lot, even though I got my ass kicked all the time.
It's
It was
another.
still, I kept coming back.
Yeah, I mean it's fun. I like the idea. I like the concept of minis and cards, obviously, and hex based, right? So like a lot of that you'll see in Roller Brawl. I mean, it's nothing really we can't not talk about it. I mean, it's our game, so it's like I don't think Matt would care, and Saul doesn't necessarily care. But if you got questions for me or Hunter, please hit them in the chat. I know it's been popping off, and then this we are trying to get more people to back the book Deities and Demi-Bros that Hunter is doing some art for. So he does have so Guarfan37 said, Mr. Jackson, can I commission a Beefcake the Mighty art from you? And if yes, where can he reach you?
You can reach me. The best place is through my Facebook page, which I have a Hunter Jackson page, and I have a Techno Destructo page as well. And I also have a website called House of Huntar with an A.
I'm going to put it in the chat.
Yeah, houseofhuntar.com. And that website is really fun because it has a lot of stuff about Gwar. It has a lot of really cool pictures of me, like if you ever doubted that I really do professional wrestling, it's got a million pictures of me getting my ass kicked in professional wrestling. And it also has links to my YouTube channel, which is super fun, which has lots of Techno Destructo shorts and stuff like that. And it's called House of Huntar as well,
It
but it's
is.
a YouTube channel.
It's hard to find it, honestly. So if
It is hard to find it.
we had a
Somebody has sort of hijacked it right now and made it really hard to find. But I'm gonna catch up to this person and try to make it right. But yeah, if you look for it, maybe you have to use Techno Destructo. Look up Techno Destructo.
so how
It
did
is hard. It is hard to find.
I forgot how we found it the other night, but like you said, there's a link at House of Huntar for the YouTube.
Yes.
So then,
If you
yeah,
go to
just
the
go
House of
through there.
Huntar, if you go to the House of Huntar webpage, then you can get links to all my videos, because on the webpage I talk about the different videos and stuff, and so you can go to them that way as well. So
And
please check them out. They're really funny. They're worth checking out. It's fun.
it's fantastic. I watch it all the time. And then we were not to get too far off topic, but we were talking about cereal box man.
Yeah,
And
I used to wrestle Cereal Man. This guy
Cereal
Cereal Man.
Man, yeah. But you're talking about the theme song. It's online. You can hear it. Like what you did the Space Ghost over top, or like the Space Ghost theme, and you singing it over top. It's on the internet. I saw
Yeah,
that.
and I
It's on
edited the
YouTube.
video so that I took the soundtrack from the Space Ghost cartoon, and where it starts off with going Space Ghost, I just went Cereal Man.
Yeah.
And then for the rest of the video, I showed clips of us wrestling, and I used the sound effects of the Space Ghost, thing to, with what we're doing in the wrestling. So it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. I highly recommend it. So Cayuga Mans asks, how will Roller Brawl be sold, package, box set, rules separate from minis? So the first box is going to be, you get two teams of brawlers. You're going to get the Detroit Prime Roller Brawl team, and then you're going to get Slime City Roller Brawl team with the rules and the board, and then all the gates to go through and the hazards and everything. And then from there, it's going to be two teams are going to be added as like expansion packs. So one of them is going to be Dwarflings versus Hell World Demons. So like it's always going to be a team versus a team with the pack. So like how a team works is you have a team, then you have a manager that goes with the team, and then that has cards and stuff. We'll get into all that once we get down the start talking about Roller Brawl more. But then you'll get the manager cards, and then the Roller Brawl teams for each side. And so I know the 30K stretch goal are more mini adventures for Netcrawl. What's the 25K stretch goal? Oh, so you guys are trying to 25K stretch goal. I honestly don't know off the top of my head. We'll find out when we get there. So it's probably something book real. Well, no. So we already did Pogs. We already did the Pog Slammer. I don't know. Stay tuned. I gotta look. I don't remember honestly. I'd have to look it up. So yeah. So someone said Kablooey said you're from Guar? Question mark? Question mark. He wasn't here for the beginning. Yeah. So Hunter is the original.
I'm the OG motherfucking Guar.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, realistically, right? So, like, if there was no Hunter, there'd be no Guar. Like, honestly, like, no hyperbole about it. Like, I guess that's the word, right? Hyperbole, whatever. You know
where Conan's from?
Yeah, right. So like, yeah, so he created all the costumes, he created all the characters, created the concept of Guar and everything, and then he plays Techno Destructo, which is very pivotal to the Guar Guar cinematic universe or whatever, like, I mean, there really is a cinematic universe before it was there, right? Like, it's like fucking what, like 6 Guar movies?
Yeah. There's, I believe there were 7 videos. We did 7 commercial videos, and I did about 4 bootleg videos that were live shows, or one was all TV appearances like Jerry Springer. You know, Guar was the first people. Jerry Springer show was famous for people fighting on the Jerry Springer show. It became the talk show where, oh my God, it's outrageous. The guests actually started fighting with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Guar were the first guests on Jerry Springer that actually came to blows on the show. I jumped up at the end of the show. The credits were starting to roll, and I was going, "Oh my God, the show's ending and we haven't fought yet." So I jumped up and started bashing Odorous, and so as the credits were rolling, duking it out.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's see. Kablooey said I saw in 80, like saw him in 89. I think Kablooey's from Canada, so he saw you in 89 in Canada. I'm sure you were there for that.
Yep, I was probably there.
So
I didn't go on every single tour because a lot of times, you know, like Techno Destructo would get his ass kicked, and then the next time they're going to have a different bad guy, you
right,
know,
yeah,
or and a lot of times too, I would stay home to do pre-production work for the video
yeah.
and stuff like that.
That's true. Yeah, Calgary, Canada. You ever been up to Calgary with Guar?
Yeah, I'm sure I have.
Yeah, yeah. Guar is a huge influence on Neon Lords. Yep. So, yeah. So lots of stuff coming in about the chats and everything. So, yeah. So we can. So yeah. So far, Hunter's done Spine Tingler, Spine Grinder, the two god chaos rat gods that are connected at the tail, and they're always at war with each other. What else? I don't remember what else I sent you over. Do you have? Do you remember what the
There's a
next?
Cthulhu guy
Oh
that I'm
yeah,
working on, and there's a male and female spider characters as well that I'm
yes,
working on. Those will be available to show people soon. And I mean, there's a whole list of stuff I'm going to do. We're just getting
yeah,
started.
yeah. I mean, there's tons of stuff. I just didn't want to like overwhelm with everything, so we just did. So we're he's doing that. The Twin Gods is done, and then the Cthulhu. It's actually Cthulhu because of um public domain. Anybody can have Cthulhu, and if you're gonna make a game, you might as well add Cthulhu into it because why not? You can because it's free.
Really, Cthulhu is public domain.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's
All
been
that.
out that long. Wow.
Yeah. Lovecraft was like, I mean, he was a writer in what, like the 20s and 30s, 20s. So
Yeah.
Neon Lord's coloring book. Yeah, I mean, I've gotten that question a lot. I'm not opposed to a Neon Lord's coloring book. Why not? I think that'd be kind of cool. Anything to sell some books. So yeah, they love to color those drawings for fun. So yeah, I mean, hey, maybe that's a stretch goal, a coloring book. Do whip out a little zine size coloring book of all the art for all these. Not
That's a
opposed to
good
that.
idea. I should put out a coloring book. I hadn't even thought of that.
Why not? I can help you do it, and I won't take any of the money. I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can. I've printed a couple books before. I don't know if you've known that, but I can. I can definitely put it together for you. Make the yeah. I know people want more of these the hats. They're coming. I gotta talk to Black Rainbow about getting some more made because I want him to do them again because Brady's awesome. So yeah, so there's tons of stuff. If you've got any more questions, I know it's a little bit of delay, so keep bringing in the questions. And we'll talk to Hunter for a little bit longer here, and then we'll send him off on his way. I'm sure he's got a very exciting night. Friday night. Thanks everybody for hanging out. I really do appreciate it though, because I know
Oh, I
Friday.
have something else. I have something else I want to plug real quick if it's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Of course, plug away. That's what we're here for.
So one of the main reasons that I was doing Guar is because I'm also not only am I a game geek, but I'm also a comic book geek as well. And one of the big things that was exciting for me about Guar was being able to make Guar comics. And I just recently released a comic book that's all my own work, whereas Guar was collaborative. This is all my own work. And strangely enough, it's based on the game that I was talking about earlier that we used to play. And it's called When Heroes Roam the Earth. It's a post apocalyptic superhero story about the all American superhero Lady Liberty fighting against the undead neo Nazis, and it's really funny. It's full color, and it's 48 pages of nonstop rock'em sock'em action, and you can get it at the House of Huntar website.
Yeah, you don't need me for a coloring book. I forgot that you make your own books. You don't need me. Never mind.
No, I
So,
was just gonna put out. I was just gonna give you the art, and then you put out. You put the book together.
oh, okay. Boom. There you
We'll
go.
figure
Deal.
it out.
Yeah. Well, I forgot. I didn't want to. I did forget. Yeah, I do have to order all those books. I've been trying to get around to getting the House of Huntar stuff because it's so sick. Um. Oh crap! I was gonna say something. I forgot.
I also have prints and T-shirts
Yeah. That.
available and stuff.
Yeah. So let's see. Where are we at? So coloring book. What was the coolest band you toured with and partied with?
We toured with the Misfits a lot. They were really fun because they always they had like a whole bunch of weightlifting equipment. They would show up every day. They had all this weightlifting equipment under their bus, and they would unload it every day and set up the weight bench and like drink pink protein powder and lift weights all day. I was always too busy to hang out with them that much, but I did a little bit, and they were really fun to hang out with. I didn't hang out with a lot of the bands just because uh, I'm into all this other stuff. I'm not really all that into music, you know,
Yeah.
and
The irony of it.
yeah.
Right.
So
Like.
I'm more into video. Like for instance, when I'm working and stuff, instead of playing music, I play like Japanese cartoons and stuff like that, the Herculoids and things like that that have a pleasant soundtrack that calms me down and allows me to work, like the Herculoids.
Very cool. Kablooey, definitely pay extra money to have Neon Lord's hat sent to Canada. Brim has to be neon green. Yeah, but it says Lord Randy be praised under it, so it does have neon green under there. Neon plus Hunter, perfect marriage. People are saying they need that comic, so you're gonna probably get some sales here.
Cool. I
Uh,
need the scales.
yeah. So I'll put the links in the chat again. For the Kickstarter and Hunter's website. I brought it up before, but a Neon Lord's comic book depicting the war with Terror X with Hunter doing the art would be rad. Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily off the table. We could always figure out a comic book. Let's see. I'm not in the new office, so the office people are really weird. I don't think they want me there because I went and toured it, and then they're like, "Yeah, we'll write you up a contract." And then they never got back to me. So like there's a local like old architecture building that they have office space. I need to go to an office because I need an office because it drives me crazy here. I can't focus. And then it's $200 a month, right? Like for just to go away, sit in an office, and write books. And they won't get back to me, but we'll see what happens. So that was New Office from Hobbs. Jerry Only's the Saint. Yeah, the Under the Brim, Herculoids rules. Herculoids one of my favorite cartoons of all time. Good choice, good choice. Big wrestling fan, but I never have seen Hunter work in the ring. What? Oh, what's Techno's finishing move?
My valet helps me cheat.
Yeah,
Like I have a dummy of myself that's like balled up in a ball, like a cannonball position. And when I wrestle, when I'm doing wrestling, you know, they always talk about when I first started wrestling, it was when it was out for sure that okay, wrestling is predetermined. There's a good term for it, you know.
mm-hmm.
And so I always loved it from when I was a kid. I never imagined that I would ever get the chance to be a professional wrestler just because I'm too scrawny. But uh, then I got the opportunity to start doing it, and man, it is the funnest thing in the universe. But uh, like I do a lot of crazy stuff. Like I do dummy substitutions, and I use fake blood. Like when I was touring with Serial Man, we were doing these. I was experimenting with using the gore effects in the ring, and we called the matches "Bloodbath for a Balanced Breakfast."
Ah, it's It's awesome.
But the thing is, the blood mix that I use is like super slippery.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would make the ring like you can't even stand up at all. And it was really hard to. Of course, we made part of the show was my valet forcing me to clean up afterwards because I would have a dominatrix. Techno Destructo was always led into the ring on a chain by a dominatrix, and then but she doesn't like him, and he's trying to prove himself through the whole match. And usually, the match ends even if whether he wins or loses, the dominatrix kicks his ass at the end of the match
It's awesome.
and drags him out. So it's fun. It's fun for the whole family.
Right. Very cool. So the links are in the chat for the backer kit. It's going live on backer kit right now as we speak as well.
So when I
So
worked with Freak Show Wrestling, I did a lot of crazy anti-gravity matches and all kinds of super crazy, weird matches. You can see them online, like Invisible Cage Match. That's another one.
That's
That's a
awesome.
crazy one because we're constantly throwing each other into the invisible cage, and it hurts.
Um, so they asked in the chat, question for both of you: who's your favorite wrestler? Obviously, mine's Macho Man Randy Savage because he is, the Savage one. Yeah. So obviously, like he's my favorite. But Hunter, who's your favorite wrestler?
My favorite is Ivan Koloff from Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling. And he was like the mean ass ball headed Russian dude. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not talking about the guy that was in WWE that used to sing the Russian national anthem.
Yeah.
Ivan Koloff was like a really short guy with long arms that reached down below his knees. And he was bald headed, and he would do things in the ring that just blew me away. Like, how could you possibly do that to somebody without killing them? He was that good. And during the time that I was into wrestling the most, when we were first starting out Guar, uh, he had he had a 3-man tag team, Nikita Koloff and Crusher Khrushchev. And the three of them used to fight this gang of young pretty boys called the Rock and Roll Express.
Oh yeah.
And me and the Sexecutioner and whoever else I could get, as soon as tickets were available, I would go buy as many tickets as I could afford and then get my friends to reimburse me, and we would all go in a big group. And my girlfriend made us these red shirts that had a big yellow hammer and sickle on them. And so we would all go in a group, and sometimes we would take a big plastic chain and hold it up. But it was so much fun because there we are in the middle of the Richmond Coliseum on like the third row and cheering for the Russians in the middle of the Reagan Cold War years. And oh man, the whole crowd used to boo us so bad. It was so much fun. It was so much fun.
That's awesome. Play the heel, right? That's like
Yeah. We always used to root for the heels all the time. There was a German Nazi guy when we started doing that. All of a sudden, Paul Jones, who was the guy who was running the thing, and he was the good guy, right? So he made himself, because he was in charge of everything, he was the good guy. But when he saw how excited we were and how we were getting the crowd so riled up, he actually started dressing up like Hitler and bringing Baron von Raschke in to do the claw on. He was the guy that used to grab people by the head, and like squeeze their head until they tapped out, and stuff.
awesome.
And we used to have so much fun. Wrestling is really fun. And the funnest thing is when you go to live, they can hear you. Like I used to love to yell at Dusty Rhodes about how fat and slow he was. I used to love to yell at the wrestler and The Rock's dad, man. When I first started going to wrestling, it was like 90% black people there. The audience was 90% black. And I was like, man, these guys are coming to see Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes. They're like the epitome of, white racist rednecks. How is the black crowd so into this? But you know what? The star of the show was really Rocky King, The Rock's dad. And the funny thing about it was he was super buff. He was 80 million times better than any of the other wrestlers in the league, but it was his job to make all these fat white dudes look good, you know? And he did a good job at it. He did a good job at it, but he always had to lose. That was part of his job.
Yeah, it sucks.
And it always seemed funny to me that here's the best guy, but he always loses. You know, he is obviously the coolest, best guy,
Yeah.
but that was his job, Rocky King. But look at his son now.
Yeah, massive. Probably like the biggest wrestler of all time, right?
Yeah.
Like realistically, like who's bigger? I'd say he's bigger than Hulk was at Hulk's like top. Like Hogan was never this big.
Yeah, man. It's the new world. We're ready for the black female president, man.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. Definitely gonna get there for sure. But yeah, so let's see. Colonel Kremlin approved. Kablooey had to go feed his Digimons. He's gone for the night. Have a good night, Kablooey. Uh, well, they said Hogan was never a good movie, but Suburban Commando is pretty awesome. If you have to ask me, but where Boggle 666 is Demi-Bros backer number 234, baby. Had to get in on this. I appreciate the support, and then we will get to the next 25. We'll hit 25K. Maybe that'll be the coloring book. I'm not opposed to that if that's what people want to see. If they can get us to 25K, I'll make a little coloring book that we can put together. I know Lucas, the one of the other main artists. He's a comic book artist in Poland. He worked on some Guar comics as well. He's always down for weird stuff like that. So he would love to do a coloring book, I'm sure. So let's see. Yeah, Hogan was never a good movie. I disagree. Suburban Commando was awesome. Rock isn't the best worker ever, but he is the most significant entertainment industry wrestler. Rocky 3. I don't count Rocky 3 as a Hogan movie because that's like just a cameo, right? Like Thunder Lips, he was in it for. Rocky 3 is awesome. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I like Rockies. What do you think, Hunter? You like the Rocky movies? I think we talked about this.
No, I'm not particularly into it.
I didn't think you would be. I didn't think you would be at all. That's funny. Didn't we talk about it on like about sports movies, or was that somebody else? I had to be somebody
Well,
else.
I think what you're getting at is that from my day, in my day when I was really super into wrestling, there were two entirely different types of wrestling. I was really into one type. I was not into the other type. The
Right.
type that I was into was the super intense redneck wrestling with Ric Flair, the greatest wrestler in the universe, and all those guys. The wrestling I did not like was the super fake kitty WWF wrestling. That's what I did not like. And me and my friends used to talk shit about Hulk Hogan so much about, oh man, if he ever had to wrestle Ric Flair would tie him in a knot and kick him out of the ring, you know, in 2 seconds flat. And by the time that McMahon screwed all the other wrestling districts out of their business and he bought Ric Flair, he was definitely not going to let Ric Flair beat Hulk Hogan, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So there you
Yeah,
go.
you're right about that. So let's see. No Holds Barred is great. Yeah, No Holds Barred's good. So Boggle666 asks, Hunter, what are your thoughts on trauma films and how much of an influence was it to your media art? Toxie,
Oh
Surf
man,
Nazi, Sergeant Kabuki Man.
we like we met Troma like right after they had just released the action figures, right? So at that point, this was still when we were really shopping for somebody to hopefully make that Guar full length movie, you know? And we were considering Troma maybe, but Troma was really just sort of dangling a carrot because what they wanted, what's the guy's name that
Lloyd
runs
Kaufman.
Yeah, Lloyd Kaufman. So Lloyd Kaufman, what he wanted was the rights to make Gwar action figures. He wasn't interested in making a movie at all. And then later on, when he made the Toxic Avenger movie, where they had the evil Toxic Avenger and the good Toxic Avenger, they actually talked to Dave Brockie about being the evil Toxic Avenger. And he wanted to do it so bad. He wanted to do it so bad, but Lloyd Kaufman wouldn't even help him find a place to stay. He wouldn't even pay for a meal. You know, he wanted Brocky to come up there and work on this movie and let him put it out and not pay him anything. You
That's
know,
crazy.
and finally, Dave just, even though he really, really, really wanted to do it, he had to say, no, no, I can't do it like that. And,
Yeah.
but later on, when I would work conventions and stuff, and I continued to work conventions with Demon Blade after I kind of split from Guar, and I would see Lloyd Kaufman at these conventions a lot. Once he found out that I usually had pot on me, he would always invite me to come to parties in his hotel room and stuff,
Yeah.
and all like that. He was a funny character. He was a funny character.
Yeah, I had a meeting about doing a trauma role playing game, but that's another story for off air for sure.
Yeah, getting involved with those guys is
No.
it probably won't turn out good, you know.
Uh, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's. Well, I'll tell you about it. I'll tell you the story. But I mean, that I still love them. You know, I still have all my Toxic Avenger toys. I got like a ton of Toxic stuff. I still got all the movies. Like, just because like I couldn't work out a $2 million deal with them, but that's a whole nother thing, right? But I still love them. Like the movies are great.
Yeah,
So
to me, I've never been able to watch one all the way through. I can watch it in little bit pieces and stuff, but I can't watch the
I
thing
really
all.
like Class of Nukem High is like my favorite one. I don't know if you've ever seen that one.
You know what I like is because of the war in Ukraine, Russia has been putting out these fucking awesome World War II movies
Oh
where the
yeah,
Russians are
yeah.
kicking the Nazis' asses all over the place. Those movies are so fucking awesome. Look them up; they're great. They're great.
Yeah, you were telling me about them the other night. They sounded really cool. So if you're into that sort of thing, definitely check it out. I know that's kind of a strange turn, but that was a good question about trauma. Yeah, because I mean, trauma is so. I could totally see them doing a Guar movie too, right? Like, has like the same vibe, the same aesthetics and everything, but like drop the ball on that. I also heard a rumor today that there was Todd McFarlane Four Horsemen Guar action figures were made, but then Brocky did not approve of them, and then they got locked in a vault, and no one's ever seen them. Supposedly, that was like there's a rumor online.
I don't know about that, but you know, I can tell you a story about Todd McFarlane toys where when I work conventions and stuff, like a lot of times we would do fights. I would fight this executioner or other characters and stuff like that. But like we would battle in the crowd, and I would be searching for him, you know, and I would go, "What have you seen executioner?" You know, and all this stuff like that, and just to get interest, get the crowd to know that we were there and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, if I see cosplayers like that are those guys that make those puffy muscle suits and all dress up like the X-Men, there was a guy that first started making those when we were doing conventions a lot, and he had all the X-Men and stuff. And Todd McFarlane Toys also had a guy dressed up as Spawn. I think it was the guy that the Spawn story was originally based on. His
Oh, cool.
name was Simons or something like that,
Mm.
Simmons. But
Yeah,
anyway, I met him, and he had the cool like latex rubber puffy muscle suit of Spawn, and I was like, man, we got to do a fight scene together. Come on, come on! I want to do a fight scene. And I was also talking about trying to get them to do Gore action figures and stuff too. And so at this one convention, it looked like I was going to finally get to talk him into doing it. And but at the same convention, the X-Men were there. There was this guy that had done Wolverine, the Beast, Rogue. I think were the three ones that he had that day. And I was trying to get him to have a fight with us, and he never would.
Mm.
And then finally, on the last day of the con, Odorous and I were going to do this big, complicated fight scene where I was actually going to change costumes like 3 times and be three. I was going to be Techno, then I was going to be Cardinal Sin, and then I was going to come back as Techno riding Uberhension, the giant ostrich penguin cyborg. And so I was going to fight him 3 times. And but the X-Men chose that moment to come out and fight us. And the funny part is that I had been a lot of times at the conventions, Dave would party and get like really hungover, and then we would have to do a fight scene, and I knew he was hungover, and like I would just wail on him mercilessly. It was so much fun. And but ultimately, when it was time for me to lose, I would just lie down, and he would win the fight. But we both knew that I had just kicked his ass. But anyway, that had just happened. And then all of a sudden the X-Men attack us.
Oh
And I
man.
was like, oh my God. So I got up and they had Nightcrawler too. And so I'm fighting with Nightcrawler, and I'm like in a wrestling show, I'm saying, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and then I look over at Dave, and Dave has got the beast in a under one arm, and he's twisted his mask around backwards. And then he had uh the other there was a second guy on him, and then Rogues comes running up to him, and he had enough, and he just punches her right in the face and knocks her down. And I was like, oh my God.
Wow, that's one hell of a
Yeah,
story.
so and then I after that, I go back to like the guest lounge, at the convention, and there's the Spawn guy, right? So I'm sitting there talking to the Spawn guy, and I'm like, "Oh man, we just had the best fight. Come on, don't you want to have a fight with me?" And then what happens? The X-Men come into the room, and they're all fucked up. Their costumes are all wrecked, and they're like, oh my God, that Glor guy is such an asshole. He just kicked our ass so hard. I was like, oh fuck, there goes my Spawn.
That's incredible. That is one hell of a story. What
But
what
shit like that used to happen all the time.
yeah, what con was it? Do you remember?
That would have been probably in Atlanta. I believe it was in Atlanta.
Oh, Dragon Con?
Yeah, Dragon Con.
That's cool. Well, I always wanted to
Dragon
go to
Con
that
was
one.
fun. They had one year they had when the Klingons were really big, and Next Generation was on TV, and everybody was dressing up like Klingons and speaking Klingon language and stuff. And they had a big ceremony, like it was an award ceremony or something, and they had all of these Klingons lined up, and they were going down the line, and so Techno Destructo gets in line to receive his award. It was funny, man. It was funny.
That's awesome. Yeah. Dragon or Game Hole's not so much like Dragon Con. I don't think anybody cosplays. It's all just gaming. Gaming 24/7. Well, not 24/7 because we get kicked out at like midnight, I think. It was in Hobbs was in the chat. We played late into the night last year at Game Hole. But yeah, if you got any quick more last minute questions, we're over an hour. I don't want to keep Hunter too long. He's probably very
I
busy.
got one more good one for you.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is
yeah.
this is a role playing game story too.
Very cool.
So there was this group that was doing a Star Wars role playing game. And this is a nationwide Star Wars role playing game that they were doing online, and they wanted to finish a lot of the key players were fed up with it. They had been doing it forever. They wanted the game to end, but they wanted it to end in some kind of dramatic way, and they couldn't make up their minds who was going to win the game. So they saw me and they go, oh man, we have this great idea because we can't have anybody win this game without there being a huge political, outbreak. They had me and at the time the mom of my son was working with me as my space dominatrix, and her name was the name we were giving her was Princess Carnegilia. And so as they were going to have their final ending ceremony. They had all the characters in costume, at the con. They were going to end the game. All of a sudden, Techno Destructo busts in, kills all the leaders at one time, and sets up Princess Carnegilia as the new Empress of the Galaxy. And
Very
that's how
cool.
they ended their Star Wars RPG.
That's awesome. So, well, yeah. So, we'll call it there. I don't want to go too crazy. We'll save some stories for the next one. I'm sure Hunter will be back on, and we'll get him to play some role playing. I'll run you through some before we go on live, so you get an idea of the game. I know the big spoiler is Hunter doesn't like role playing games, but we'll change him. We'll turn him into a neon maniac. But thank you to everybody who tuned in and checked out the stream. I can't see how many days left we have. I think we got like 19 or 20 days left. Yeah, so if you so we'll work out the thing. So everyone just thank you in the chat. Hunter, do you have anything you want to say real quick before we bounce?
Stand up for the sick fun that you crave, because there's always somebody out there trying to take it away from you.
That is true. With that being said, have a good night. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Later.